what I found. A piece of driftwood. And so this is what I'm thinking, somehow mount it with the Apoxie Sculpt. And I'm not sure to do that before I do the lights or after. The spatula, I recommend getting one like this because you see it has a long edge and then it has that nice little short edge. But see how it steps down? And they have those steps really sharp. Like if you want to, you know, your painting is here on an easel and you want to get in there and glob up some acrylics and you're doing some texture, you're going to want to stay away, you know, from that texture work that you're doing. So that's what the step down spatula with this unicorn spit, a seagull. I'll turn it into a different bird probably on this box, but for right now, that's what I'm going to do so you can just see how easy that is to do if you've never done it. It is thin. It's not as thin as alcohol ink, so it's easier to control than alcohol ink. Boy, I put that big one in there. I use the small side. So what I did is I just loaded up just basically a little tiny amount down the short side, and I'm going to do the part up next to his body first. Just making a little tiny V. I'm just going to load that in, and then do the rest of it. Ooh, now he's got two little flippers, but that's okay. Flippers. So pretty and so easy. And then just take the, I'll have to fix that one little flipper. And then just take a glob and put it right in there, just kind of below. I'm telling y'all, so easy. And just do it off to the side, you know, and then go ahead to your piece and do it. I look at it, it's got like this peace sign at the end. Let me see what I can do with that. This is alcohol ink and unicorn spit on this, in case you're wondering. So I'm just going to dampen my brush. I'm pretty sure I've sealed this, but I'm not absolutely positive. Yeah, I did. So since I had already sealed that box, I could go ahead and take, with just a damp cloth, that white unicorn spit off and clean it up so pretty, not messing up anything in the back. And then, in order to keep it pretty, if I wanted to keep this, and I might because it's just random, I love random, then I would wait for it to dry and then spray it with an oil-based spray. But isn't that neat? Just so simple with a palette knife. I'm doing shadows. So good. I've got a beige thing going. We will do Purple Hill Majesty. I really like this, and I'm just going to go ahead and put some more purple shadow right down below here, just for fun, before I do my birds. Now, I did go ahead and spritz some of this. I'm not sure at this point what's spritzed and what's not with that polyurethane spray. I guess I'll find out as I paint along. I'm just going to get into this purple here. I like that feeling of that purple coming down into the water as well. So I was explaining to someone how I do my wave, and I know there are so many different ways to do it, but for me, the easiest way I can feel like someone can feel like they're seeing through is just to first do the white edge. And then once you're done with that white edge, you go ahead with a background color of water, slightly darker, and put it right at that base. And then leave it alone, because your eye thinks that wave. Because you see the edges, your mind's eye. Isn't that amazing? You don't have to paint the wave, that splash. You just paint the edge and something coming up from underneath, and the person sees it as that transparent wave. I love that about art. Don't you? It's fabulous. Anyway, go too far with, like I do a lot, like a lot of this, it's too much white. But if you go too far and you want more transparency, just pick up one of those watercolors and start pushing it back inside, you know, and you'll start seeing that feeling of transparency again. It's easier than you think. Purple. Maybe I'll just make them bigger. We'll just see what happens. That's the thing. Yeah, I'm just using it to draw with, is what I'm doing. It's fabulous. And you know, when you draw or you use a pen, you know, as soon as you put it down and start to pull, that put it down part is bigger. And then it thins as it goes. So knowing that is a cool thing, because you can go close to the body where you're going to put that big thing anyway. It used to bother me if I couldn't tell which direction they were flying, because it would switch back and forth as I looked at it. It doesn't bother me anymore. In that water. I don't know what it looks like over there, but from here it's water. Very cool. Alright, I'll just mix up a little bit. It's hard to get rid of pieces. They're beautiful pieces. They're part of you. By the time I'm done with a piece of art, it is part of me. And it's hard to let it go. So you know what? You know, they say, don't price your art like me, because you love it or you don't like it, you know, so now it's super cheap. Price it, you know, basically by size, or, you know, get some sort of, well, I can't. I won't, because my art's not like that. I have weird stuff, weird shapes, and that's not me, that's not my journey. But that's a really cool tip if you do lots of canvases or lots of cradle boards, all the same sizes, or do, you know, stuff like that. That makes sense. It makes it easier when you're sitting there, because a lot of the time you don't know what to price, especially when you're first starting out, you know. And what I've ended up with is, honestly, this is it. How much is it going to take for someone to pay me for me to want to let that go? That's it. And then if they hit that mark, perfect, because you know what? Then they really love it. Because I really love it, and it needs to go to a good home, just like a puppy. I kid you not. So you just blend this up in your hands, just knead it, and you do this for about like 5 minutes or so until all the different color is gone, because there are 2 different colors to start with, part A and part B, just like epoxy. So once it gets all one color, it should be the color you ordered, and they do come in a variety of colors. However, once it's cured, which is 24 hours, you can paint it, drill it, sand it, all that. It's durable enough to hang outside, like you make a window bling or whatever, but you can never hang the things outside. Well, you can epoxy sculpt. All one color. It does seem to be. Then you just set it aside for a couple minutes. I'm going to put resin in here, which really gives it weight. Is something that I have to consider when I'm building this. But if for some reason I am not an engineer, and by the time I get it put together and I've got the resin in it and it tips over, that's okay, because I've got Apoxie Sculpt. I can always create another branch up the back to hold it. So, and you can too. There's always a way to fix whatever it is, and that's the puzzle. That's the fun part about being a multimedia, you know, type of person. You just get to play. Thought about coloring it, you know, with this driftwood with the unicorn spit and all, but I really like the natural look of that, surprisingly. So there's that. So let me just set this here for a second. Trying to get it built up enough that it actually looks a little even. There's a little tiny lip of wood right here that this is resting on, and I like that. So it gives me a space in between to bring the wires of the battery pack through, which is good. So that is cool. Now, also, since this is a standing piece, I need to consider the back. And I just want art to be all the way around the piece. That way they can set it on an end table, you know, and people can walk all the way around it, and it's pretty on all sides. So that is goal number 1. We'll see how close we get. I think it's going to be awesome. I love reversible art, and creating that is just a blast. You should see if it's level. It's probably not. Wait, I can't see if it's level unless I know the table is level. Is that right? Is my hubby still on? Hey, Grat. Grat. So if I'm trying to level this, I'm not going to know if this piece is level if my table's not level. I have to know, I have to have a level surface. I got it, never mind, I figured it out. So let me make sure that the table is, okay, the table's level, that was easy, good God. All right. Okay, it needs to come up a little bit. Oh, this is so fun, you guys. Okay, and now I have my little seat that it's gonna sit on, and that's perfect. And then it will be attached again at the very end once it's sprayed and lighted up and all that and sealed. So very, very cool. Now I have a ton of Apoxie Sculpt here. So that's just with a chopstick and this Apoxie Sculpt and an amethyst in there. Isn't that pretty? It's actually ombre. It's hard to see. The light kind of washes it out, but it's the purple and silver. But this is just a chopstick, Apoxie Sculpt, and then those little amethysts with wire. And you can do anything. You can bedazzle this till your heart's content. Beautiful. We'll have to do some of those. Me and I put a heart, I mean it, okay? So if I put a heart, then I'm probably going to repost you. So I just think that's just a way to love back the art community. And, you know, all of us need that dopamine once in a while. You know, to keep us going, because you get like, wow, you know, you spend so much time on something and it's like, it just goes flat or something. And you know, it's good in a way that it does, because we train ourselves. Look, we're not here for the rays, okay? Because we can't be. We have to be our own cheerleaders, right? So let's do that. But at the same time, you know, let's be supportive for other people too. And I'm telling you, that was beautiful. So Ray, I reposted you. You are so welcome. Talking and asking about memorializations, like pet memorials, you know, in resin or things like that. And, you know, some people have angst, creepy feelings about using the ashes for that. And so what I've done is I've done the ashes and things, and I love it. I think it's beautiful, but that's me. So I also did beads. Like my mama was jewelry, okay? It was her thing, jewelry and shoes and purses. So what I did was I also did her ashes, but I took one of her bead necklaces that she loved, that she wore just constantly, and I just turned it into a seahorse, because she loved the ocean too. So it's kind of a neat memorial, because when I see it, I remember her and all the times we stayed at the beach and ate at the beach. You are the best art tribe ever. Just want to hang out and have a good time and uplift one another and support one another. I don't care where you're from, what you do, whatever, you know. So if you're a creative person, which I believe all people are, then I hope you land here and really find a home.